Hello everybody, welcome back to another check-in. It feels so weird doing these because it's been so long, but here we are. And I'm also going to be looking, I guess, at my screen for part of this video and then my camera. I usually have a different, setup here, so it's going to be very strange for me looking up. So anyway, I apologize in advance for appearing disinterested and not engaging. But anyways, goodness, last week, I feel like the last thing that we were talking about as I was rounding out the video check-in was that I was heading off like momentarily to go and get CO2 laser on my eyes, which is the first time I was going to be having that on my upper eyelids, which I was so excited for. I can't begin to tell you how unprepared I was for the recovery process of that procedure. I think because last year in September, I had an upper and lower blepharoplasty and I thought nothing's going to be anywhere near as bad as that. Like the bruising, oh my God, it was all horrific. I'm sure for anyone that was watching that check-in video, you would have seen how that went down. But anyway, I guess I can talk a little bit about that and like how I found this like procedure to be and would I recommend it to you guys? What was the cost? What's the aftercare like? And how do I like the results? So anyways, going back to September last year, had the upper and lower bleph done. The lower blepharoplasty is when they go in like under the eyelid, they basically slice under here. Obviously you're awake during this procedure, but they numb you up so you can't feel anything. And then they go in with like what I would describe as a soldering iron. You know, like in woodwork back in high school, like you like, I don't know, sear things. That's what it felt and smelled like. Oh my gosh, it was horrible. So anyway, the smell and the sound is way worse than the actual discomfort from the procedure itself. But anyways, they go in and they can take out fat pads, they can move it around. I don't know exactly what they did for me, but what I can tell you is that I don't know that I'm noticing as much of a difference on my lower lids as what I was anticipating. So, you know, hindsight, I might not do that again, but I think the case is probably very different for individuals. It depends what you get done. So had I done it again, I might have actually asked them to not take out fat pads, but maybe move it over and smooth some of this area through here. But I don't know, I may get it done again. I'm not too sure. So that's that part. I had CO2 on my under eyes with that procedure like back then, and I was so happy with the results. So the CO2 laser basically penetrates like the deeper layers of your skin. So it's not superficial like, you know, a peel or, you know, something it's a bit more topical. It kind of goes a little deeper than that. And it has a little bit more downtime, you know, more recovery, and it targets things like textural differences, discoloration, and fine lines and wrinkles. And it did all those things great. So I was going back in on Friday last week to have CO2 done again, not because I wanted to get it done or felt like I needed to get it done again on my lower eyelid, but their package, like how the girls sold it was like, it's just your eyes. I mean, you're paying for it anyway, so you may as well get it done again. So I am so happy with the result, but I just couldn't fathom how the recovery process was on Saturday morning the next day throughout like the next 3 or 4 days. Like I looked non-human. Like I can't begin to tell you, you know, I'm going to flash this up on the screen so that you can take a look. You can see like day 1, 2, 3, 4 recovery. Like I was someone else for a few days. I laughed to my partner. I was like, babe, like this is it. And it was on Valentine's Day too. So like we couldn't go anywhere. I was not going to scare people. Like I personally wouldn't have minded, but I wouldn't want other people to be like, they saw me. So yeah, I think the recovery was kind of wild. But anyway, last year, the upper blepharoplasty went really well. I had astosis in one of my eyelids, basically like a lazy eye. So like every video, every picture, I would see it. Very happy with the result. However, here's my thoughts. Here's my hot takes on this. For anyone that's considering it, maybe you've had it, maybe you've got some similar experiences to I think that there are different techniques that the surgeons can do to stitch your upper eyelid, like, you know, back together. And I have seen people send me photos. Now, I don't know whether this is true or not. I'm just reciting what I've seen. Some people appear to have more of a glue, like stitched back together, as opposed to like an actual stitch. So the seam, like where they've cut and removed some of the skin, was very crisp, very straight, no sign of stitches. It's literally like it's just been stuck back together. And I don't know whether that is a thing or not. I had stitches and mine were more like shoelace stitches. So they would cross over, you know, one side to the other. And I think what happened in the healing process is where the stitches were potentially like tight and pulling and puckering my skin. Like you can imagine when you do something too tight and it just kind of it squeezes the skin. I think that's how my eyelid healed. And even though it was like a relatively small line, I think it made the scar line a little unnecessarily thick. So, you know, when I would run my finger over my eyelid, I could feel lumps and bumps. And I know that that will like fade with time. I'm aware of that. And same with the discoloration, like there's a red line. It wasn't like hadn't improved the way that I thought it would, you know, in 6 months. Now it might have settled down, you know, with time, and I was a bit more patient with it. But it felt like I'd, you know, solved one issue of like the skin laziness and the heavy lids and, you know, your makeup not sitting nicely on your eyelid because it's just rolls of skin. Like I couldn't do a wing because I would have like a fold. I'd have to lift like the fold of my eyelid up to do a wing. It was weird. So anyway, solved one problem only to find myself with another. So I was talking to the girls about it and they said, well, you know, if you're not happy with the like healing process, you could potentially get CO2 on your eyelids. So that's what I did. And again, that really helps with the scar tissue. So it's only been like 10 days and I'm already so happy with the result. Despite the insane swelling and like stinging, burning sensation for the first 24 hours, which I could not part with my little fan. I have a little fan that you hold. And anytime I would put it down, like within the first 24 hours, my skin was like, rah! So I was like, nope, I'm just going to sit here. So I was actually far less productive working than I thought I was going to be. And they did give me a full face mask, like an eye mask for an ice pack, which is intended to help with the cooling and the discomfort. But I found I struggled to get the right temperature with the ice pack. So if I would put it on my face with like a cloth or something between it, I feel like it didn't cool my face down enough. And it was quite, you know, a rigid, you know, thing. So it also didn't fit comfortably on my head. And then if I took the cloth off to get it cooler, obviously putting nice, you know, direct ice on your skin at that point did feel amazing, but it was too much. So I was like constantly battling with this ice pack and just was like, stuff it. So I just sat there with my fan for like the first 24 hours to keep my face cool. And there's a lot of like sprays that you put on your face to kind of keep it moist and cool. And then, you know, after I think the first 48 hours, then you can start actually, you know, cleansing gently with a special product. And then you can start using like a heavy moisturizer and I guess repair serums. So that's what I wanted to show you. The products that I am now using, and I mean, it's only 10 days, but the girls recommended these because they're great products. This is they. So I don't know whether you can see that. Hopefully the screen is focusing all right. But this is called Trio Rebalancing Moisture Treatment. So they gave me lots of different options that I could choose, but this was quite a light moisturizer. I found that if I've got a moisturizer that's too heavy, you know, it kind of just sits on my face ends up getting oily, it just feels too heavy, and then, you know, acne. So this is a much lighter moisturizer and I can wear it under my makeup, and yeah, it's just a really great product. I couldn't tell you a whole lot more about it because it's not my area of expertise, but this particular brand, I guess Skin Better Science, came highly recommended. And I was reading reviews about this online, and I mean, it is top stuff. A lot of the celebrities and stuff use it. So the product comes in this like cute little bottle, and yeah, that's the moisturizer that I've been using daily. Now this is like a plated eye serum. This stuff is so expensive. This one little packet was like, I think $130. But let me tell you, it's for all the hype, I feel like it's worth it. It enhances or accelerates healing. So this is, yeah, a plated Skin Science eye serum that it's got this cute little applicator. So it's really cold. I guess you just put it specifically, it's a really concentrated formula, and you put it around your eyes. And that was just helping with the healing because it was quite red even after like all the puffiness had gone down. I had like a couple of rings around my eyes that were still not quite fully healed. So yeah, this is the little product that I've been using for like around my eyes. And I mean, it feels amazing. Like everything's just so hydrating, and I can just feel everything's just working very well. So that's the recovery stuff. I guess the full effect of the CO2 isn't probably going to be for about 60 days. I guess the skin cell turnover won't fully be, you know, done until 60 days. I'm sure I'm saying this terribly, but you guys know what I'm trying to say. And then they also did my neck, and that might be a little longer to heal just because the skin cell turnover, I guess, in your neck is not the same as your face. But already loving what it looks like. It's like baby smooth skin. I feel like everything's like a little tighter, a little bit more even. And I'm going to do one more round of this, I think, at the end of this year. And I think that's probably enough for me to then just do it once yearly. And yeah, I just feel like I have such like smooth, firm skin, and just putting my makeup and stuff on over the last couple of days, I was like, wow, like I feel like, you know, it looks flawless. Like, you know, when you go and get your makeup done professionally for something, you know, on a special occasion, like I felt like just my everyday makeup was sitting so nice. So yeah, that was a really interesting experience. Like I said, I looked crazy for the first few days. So don't plan on doing anything if you are going to get it done. But yeah, I think the end result is fantastic. What else have I been up to? I know we've got a lot of data I was going to chat about this week. I've got so many things I can share with you. We are in the works with the nutrition coach. So I wanted to show you, maybe I can pull up on my screen here. They might be a little bit small. Let me go and find. Yeah, this is it. Okay, so what you can see on the screen here are like all of the different designs and the flows for the nutrition coaching app. So we have 3 versions of the app, believe it or not. You have like the training only app. So that onboarding flow and all the steps and the questions are kind of unique and specific to the training platform. Then we have just the nutrition only. So that looks a little bit different again. You can imagine like the buttons are in different spots, etc. And then we have the nutrition and training app. So all of what you can see here behind or in front of me is, I guess, the steps and the flows for each of the applications. And all the little green bubbles are like my definitions and notes and like the logic that's supposed to go behind some of these things. Obviously, we've got a written document too, but yeah, it's hoofing. So the guys have all of this. They're in the process of building this out as an actual app. And I don't know that it'll take them all that long to get done. So I'm excited because then I can actually start using the app to coach me just to make sure that I, you know, catch any little bugs or like, oh, I didn't think of that. And there's always a lot of those. I think this application is going to be enormous. So yeah, that's how the nutrition stuff is all coming along. But I want to quickly zoom in on one of these because it's really cool. Zoom in one more. Okay, so this is going to be like the analytics section of the app, which obviously, you know, I'm a data girl. I got to have my data. So we've got all of the, I guess, check-in cues. So it's like today's your check-in day. You'll have your steps, all the averages. You'll have your weight. We're also going to have, well, at least my goal is to kind of connect with the Apple Health app so that you can track and pull all of your resistance training sessions, your runs, any of that data over here into this kind of calorie tracking or logging section so that you can kind of see like how you're trending towards your goals. So you know how I set myself a calorie target each week for like all my exercise and then like the individual types of movement that I do. I want that to all show up in here so it's very comprehensive, and then that'll work really nicely for my coaching clients. We'll have all of your weight trends, calorie trends, nutrition trends, protein, carbs, fats, sodium, fiber, all those things. And then some other statistics that I use for coaching. So in the coaching check-in process, we'll be asking about hunger, food noise, what are your energy levels like, how's your muscle soreness, and it will basically grade you, give you some scores, and then some constructive feedback, the type of feedback that I literally give to my clients. So I can't wait, guys. I'm genuinely just so excited. This has been on my, I guess, bucket list since it was literally 10 years ago. Like I had started thinking about kind of building something out, and I obviously spent 6 years of my life building this for someone else and then, you know, having it all taken away and going back to zero. It's been such a, I don't know, I can't describe the feeling, but it's been disheartening to say the least. And then all of the challenges and things that have come up with the previous developers, just the scandals and the scum and the greed of people. It's been just mind-blowing. So anyways, very excited about the app. But before we dive into all of my data for this past week, guys, I went shopping. I haven't been shopping in, I don't know, I think I went to the grocery or to the mall around Christmas time and I bought myself a bag, which was lovely. But outside of that, I think it's probably been like a couple of years since I've gone to a mall. So on the weekend, I had to go and pick something up, which I still haven't gotten out of the box yet. But we're going this week to Louisville for the Southeast ACSM. So Sam is and has been a member at large with the Southeast ACSM. It's one of the big like nutrition, exercise science organizations. It's a global organization. He's been with them for such a long time. And this year, he's been nominated for the presidential role, which is insane. Like it's the biggest organization ever. So some of you might be familiar with the ISSN. That's kind of like the garbage, you know, social media. I shouldn't say that. It's more like the social media influency, you know, one where like people that are on social media might go to, but it doesn't have the quality behind it. If you were to ask me, I know that sounds strange to say that, but I wouldn't go to an ISSN conference anymore. the ACSM is really the bigger of the organizations. So Sam is about to like run for president, which is crazy. Like, what a huge accomplishment. He already got his PhD. He has his tenure. Like last year he got tenured, which is amazing. That's such an accomplishment in the academic world. And yeah, now he's going for presidency, which is so cool. So I can't wait to go and support him in that. So anyway, the whole reason that I'm holding this here is it's going to be cold and I wanted to get a new scarf. So I was, just browsing online the other day, and I haven't even opened this yet. I love their packaging. Like, did you know that I was looking online? People collect this stuff. It's insane. I guess folks do that kind of thing. But I want to show you this. It's super pretty. Come on, open. There we go. So got myself a new winter Louis scarf and a couple other things while I was there. I wasn't anticipating that, but hey, it's like, when you go to Target and it's just like, oh, what about that? Oh, what about that? Oh, what about that? So, oh gosh, it's all stuck together. They do such a nice job with their wrapping. You don't even want to undo it. All for a scarf. Okay, so this is my new little black Louis number. Super cute. It feels so good. So that's one of the things that I got. I can't wait to go and rug up in the warm, and I got a cute black coat as well. I didn't bring that in here, but I have a big puffer jacket coat. This is novel for me. Like, I don't shop. I don't buy. I live in sportswear. I'm like literally sitting here in sweats. So I was like, it's my birthday coming up soon. I'm going to spoil myself and get something nice. And then I also got, and I don't want to ruin my audio. Oh, okay. So second little purchase, and I've got some other things that are getting delivered to my house. They send you this cute little, they give you this cute little box. It's like layers upon layers. I got a new pair of sunglasses, which I have been wanting to get for a while. So these are one of the pairs that I got, and then I'll show you on my computer screen the other. Yeah, I love them. They're so cute, so cute, so cute. And then let me find this picture. Okay, and this is the other glasser that I got. I tried these on in the store and they are so pretty. So this is my second one that is arriving next week. And then I got another, and I don't know where the receipt of purchase is, but I'm also waiting to get this little, like a card purse as well. So I have my Louis purse that I got for Christmas, which is so pretty, but then I still have my regular wallet and it's real chunky and big. So I was looking at like all of their card purses, and I got myself one of those, but they didn't have it in the shop. They only had the display one, which you can buy, but I was like, oh, no, I'll get a new fresh one. So yeah, I have that coming too, which is so fun. So yeah, definitely spoiling myself for my birthday. And oh my gosh, guys, this is just like a Holly try on show fun things. Check out these boots that I got. Oh my golly gosh, these are stunning. So I got those while I was there. I think these are like the coolest. They're kind of like, I don't know, they remind me of Harley Quinn, but they're tan. So I got some boots. I also have been complaining about, I've also been complaining about my running shoes for like 2 years, and I have been using this like old beat up pair, and I keep getting blisters, and Sam's like, why don't you just get a pair of shoes, Holly? And then like I asked everybody last year when I was running and prepping, like what are their recommendations? And I had like so many amazing recommendations. And I finally took myself to the shoe shop to go and like get what everyone suggested. So if you're one of those people, I'm guessing that you probably recommended this pair of shoes. But I got myself some like pretty purple running shoes. So yeah, the heel on these things is nutty. Look at that, guys. Look at that. But I went for a walk in them yesterday, and I can't wait to go for a run. But these are so good. I don't think I've ever owned anything like it. They're called Glycerin Max, Glycerin Glycerin Max. Yeah. But they are the most comfortable things I've ever put on my feet. It's been such a while since I've actually been consistent at running. And there's one more thing that I want to show you. I got these boots. These weren't from Louis, but they are ultimately the most gorgeous shoes. So they've got like this little, they pucker. They have a tie here, so it like bunches up around your foot. And then it also bunches around this middle section too. So that was my other set of boots. So I'm going to be so excited to go on this trip this weekend because I have new things. Like there's nothing better than like getting something new, especially when like the last few months has been such a grind, so much work. Like every night, I would say most nights I probably go to bed at like I don't know, 1 or 2 a.m. in the morning, and then I'm up again at like 6:30, 7 a.m. to get back at it. And it's just been exhausting. So all I do is sit here and work. I'm so sedentary. I'm like, damn it, I'm going to get myself some fun stuff. So we're also going out to see Bad Omens, the band. I don't know if you guys listen to metal music, but they're probably like one of the most popular mainstream like metal alternate rock bands at the moment. And yeah, so we're traveling to Texas to go see them with some friends, which I can't wait. So that's a couple of, I think it's in the, what's this, the break here? Is it spring break for the students to get some time off work? So we're going to go out there for a few days. So I can't wait to do that. So anyways, that's all the fun stuff that's been going on here. Healing, recovering, doing absolutely nothing for 4 days. I nearly went insane, but it was made up for it by last weekend going out and actually getting some shopping done for my birthday, which was fun. Actually, Sam and I have the same birthday, believe it or not. So he was born in America on March 6. I was born in Australia on March 7, but here's where things get real weird because of the time difference. We spoke to both our parents and we're 8 minutes apart. So whether you call me being born on March 6 since I live here now or he on March 7 and we were in Australia, it doesn't really matter. We have the same birthday and we're born the same year and he's 8 minutes older than me, the bloody bastard. So yeah, we actually get to celebrate our birthdays together, which is really fun. So yeah, I guess we'll be heading out to Texas to celebrate. All right, let's talk about my data. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. Oh my goodness. This tracking stuff, guys, I don't know how you do it. I think I was doing it for so many years. I am really struggling with it. Not from the perspective that it's like difficult. I just don't want to do it anymore. So I think maybe this is like setting me back when I take my off season because I don't track, like I lose the momentum that I gather from prepping, but it is also such a big time commitment. I just can't fathom wanting to do it anymore in my off season. So it's still been a struggle. I mean, you're going to look at my numbers this week, and although I did improve my protein a little bit, trying to kind of bring those back up, I almost feel like I've gone backwards. Like when I've started tracking again and being diligent with my calories, it's almost like I've lost the art of having enough protein because so many calories have disappeared that those meals that, you know, I was having to kind of get in my extra protein, they've gone, and the ones that I'm currently having aren't sufficient. So I really need to like turn it up because things aren't, the competition that I'm planning on doing is still very, very close and I need to get a wriggle on. So let's zoom in a little bit here so you can see the cells that I'm looking at. All right, so we're reviewing this data set here on the screen. You can see my weekly rate of weight loss is about 0.6% of my body weight. At least that's been the goal. And it's certainly not happening at that rate at this point. But there's a couple of reasons why I think that might be the case. And it's also, you know, evident that my tracking hasn't been perfect. So I think there's a lot of up and down and instability with my numbers. And it's kind of making it hard for me to get a good bearing on whether I'm making real progress or not. But I know I've certainly become much more diligent with my walking. My training's been at a much higher level of quality, and I know that I am working hard on keeping my calories low. So I'm going to have to turn it around. I think just this last couple of weeks with the app launch, and I've also had some big deadlines with the app development too that are, you know, it's on me, and I don't want to be the cause for delaying the launch. So too many things. All right, 1:30. I guess 8 was my only weigh-in of last week and I didn't make any progress, but I have since been on the scale yesterday and my weight is now down to 137.2. So I have had a 0.8 pound of a weight drop since the last time I hopped on the scale. My biggest downfall here is that I haven't been weighing consistently. And I mentioned in last week's check-in, it is such an adjustment for me to practice getting on the scale in the mornings from my normal routine when I'm not, you know, in prep mode. So I'm not doing myself any favors by not having more data to look at, but I'm happy that this week I hopped on and things are moving and I can see, you know, the changes starting to happen. I'm certainly not back where I was pre-Christmas, but I'm definitely moving in the right direction, which is really good. So if I was doing things perfectly and I wasn't, you know, working all hours of the day and trying to kind of juggle multiple things, I'd probably have an ideal maybe 4 or 5 weigh-ins. So 1 is not enough, but at least I've got a data point to work from. And honestly, it's not like I'm being lazy about this. It's just my time has been anything but my own of late. Okay, so looking at my nutrition here, you can see I got 100% compliance on my calories, which I'm stoked about. I busted my butt this past week. I did so much meal prep. I put together like 3 or 4 meals. I had protein in the refrigerator. I had just plain chicken cooked up. I had plain beef cooked up. I had boiled eggs cooked up. I was on a mission last week to succeed at getting my protein in. And for the most part, I have done a really good job. There's just one day, which is the weekend, which, actually brought my average down by quite a bit. If I was to take that away, I'd actually be at 97% compliance to my protein. You can see here I took out that 64 gram protein day on Sunday of last week, and it brings my compliance back up to 97. But, I can't pretend like it didn't happen. So my average is a little bit lower this week. It's at 91. So kind of bouncing between 90 and 170 on one of these days. Obviously, I was feeling very protein rich. I think Sam and I went out for dinner and I didn't want to order any of their carbs or fats off the menu because they just weren't appealing to me. What was appealing to me on their menu was their seafood. So I ended up having like 3 different seafood dishes. And I'm pretty sure, I just had a bite of Sam's burger because he had a burger and fries, and there were a couple of other things. But ultimately, I just ate mostly protein because that's the only thing on the menu that was appetizing, and I didn't want to go over my calorie target. So lots of protein on that day. You can see I bounce around between quite a low 80 grams of carbs here on one of these days up to 184 on others. So again, I'm not consistent, but the meals that I've prepped are. It's just the quantities change a little bit and I'll bring in different snacks. Like ultimately, I'm just trying to enjoy things here and here. And it means that my macros, kind of fluctuate quite a bit from one day to the next because I really, truly trying to listen what I want to eat. I don't want to be, approaching like disordered or dysfunctional eating behaviors ever again in my life. I want to just do this the way that works best for me. And I love variety. I'm such a foodie. So if I can make the time to make something taste good and be fun and, replicate one of my favorite dishes at a restaurant, then that's what I'm going to do. So a little bit of flexibility there with my carbs and my fats. Lowest fat day was a 48 gram day. Highest fat day was a 70 gram day. So again, bit of flexibility there. But overall, I'm very happy with the fact that I hit my calorie targets. You notice here that I'm not tracking sodium at the moment. I could do, I just haven't looked at the data. It might be one of the reasons why my weight hasn't moved more quickly in this initial phase. It's very possible, though I don't know this for sure, I haven't looked at my data. It's very possible that my sodium has jumped up just with the change in food preferences since I started dieting. When I'm eating more calorically dense foods, I don't feel like I need lots of dressings or sauces or salts and seasonings in general because the food is satisfying. I think when I start dieting, I probably am looking to and leaning more into, big flavorful dressings, and they probably are more salty than my normal food choices when I'm not on low calories. So it is possible that I'm losing body fat, but the amount of salt that I have started eating has jumped up so much that it's actually masking that real progress. So I'm trying not to jump to conclusions. I don't want to, get emotional about it. I'm just kind of doing what I know needs to happen with a caloric deficit because I know that's what's going to drive the actual fat loss. It's not, what the scale says and all the variables that can influence that. I'm really trying to act on the behaviors that I know will lead me to success. So I might take a peek at those maybe next week and we can see, just for reference, if my sodium has changed at all. But coming over here, let me scroll across. I didn't enter in all of my subjective and objective metrics here. I only tracked my sleep. So very low sleep hours this past week, 46 hours for the week. What's that, like 6.5 hours on average per day? So really low. And man, I've been feeling it. My training's still been okay, but it's been such an effort to get out of bed in the mornings. You guys know what I'm talking about. It's hard. So yeah, I try my best to get to bed at a reasonable time, but we've just got lots of things happening and I'm just one little girl. I can't do it all. So just kind of compromising a little bit on those extra. I think I'd love an extra hour, like an hour consistently would be beautiful. Maybe an hour and a half. Am I being greedy? 7.5 hours on average every day. I don't know. What do you guys think? How many hours do you guys get sleep? I don't know. I track this for some of my clients and some of them, I don't know, they're getting like 9 and 10 hours every night. I'm like, oh, I wonder what that's like. From a muscle soreness perspective, I have been feeling sore, but I think the biggest downside, or one of the reasons that I'm probably pulling up more so than I need to be, is because I'm not able to get in any active or a lot of active recovery. So historically, you know, I'd finish my training, I was still pretty active, moving around, you know, giving my body an opportunity to kind of clear out some of those metabolic byproducts, which is helpful for recovery. But instead, I just come and sit back down here and don't have a whole lot of movement through the day. So I think that there's probably something to be said for being very sedentary with a very heavy training set. That's left me a little bit more sore. But I'd say if I was looking at it on a scale of 1 to 10, I'm probably like 5 most days with the occasional 8, but it's only short-lived. It's like 24 hours and then it's gone. So usually by the time I'm back in the gym, it's not really too challenging. If I am sore going into the gym, you know, I might do a couple extra warm-up sets just to kind of, you know, get the legs stretchy, get some warmth to them and some fluid and nutrients to them. And then I am just mindful with the load. I might, you know, load a little lighter. If I normally do, I don't know, 175 squats on the Smith machine, for instance, I might pull it back to 155 for my first set and just see how I feel. And then sometimes I might even just keep it there. Ultimately, as long as you were training to failure in that moment, then you're not necessarily leaving any gains on the table. My strength certainly changes. It's very fluid from session to session, but it doesn't necessarily interfere negatively in terms of your muscle growth response. So yeah, those neural changes are quite varied and volatile. But if you are training close to failure, which I know I do for most of my sets, I'm not too worried about the potential loss of strength for this little short period. Okay, coming across to my resistance training, I got my 4 sessions in. So I'm currently doing the Miss Bikini, the Hyper Focused Glutes program. And I have written a new program. I usually write these on an Excel sheet first. I pull in all the links in the videos because I like to put them on the website for the folks that don't want to use an app. You guys make my life so much more hard, more challenging, but I put them up on the website as well for the folks that don't want to download an app. And then I also have to go and write the same program in the actual BiaFit dashboard. Here we go, Hyperfocus Glutes, part 4. This is her, that is her. So I've been doing that program this week. So I want to show you my volume for this week. All right, so you can see over here, I've got all my steps. I can go and have a look at my last week's data. You can see I had some better weeks of steps, much better than my first. So I'm very happy about that. Over the last 7-day period here, you can see that my average, at least in this little subset, was 6,857. I had a couple of low days here too. Yeah. All right, going over to have a look at my training volume. So if we scoot through, we can see my last week of training, plenty of volume on the table there. I had 169,000 pounds of volume for this last week of the part 3 training block. I think last week we might have actually gone through some of these data points. Yeah, I think I was showing you, I was up to week 5 last week of that training plan. So this last week we jumped up. I was at 169,000 pounds of volume, which is awesome. So again, just to kind of walk you through some of the data in the app, we have upper and lower and then other. Other is like any cardio exercises that you do or mobility, things that aren't assigned to like a specific muscle group. Then we break it down here by all of the individual muscle groups of the upper body and then all the individual muscle groups of the lower body. So you can see here the biggest hitting muscle group for this training block here this past week was my glutes. I got 21 sets with approximately 21,855 pounds of volume. That's my glute max. And then I did 12 sets on my glute medius where I achieved 447,725 pounds of volume. Coming in next was my quads. They get a lot of work, not because I'm trying to target them, but because a lot of the glute max exercises also target your quads as a secondary or muscle group, or even they share primary. Hamstring volume isn't too high at the moment. Calf volume obviously not very high at the moment. We've got 3 different types of shoulder, anterior, lateral, and posterior. Collectively, they're coming in around 25 sets a week, and then a lot less back and chest because they are just not priorities for me at the moment. I think I'm doing more volume now in this training block or series on my back than I was in maybe the Miss Bikini Olympia series. And I think I can see it. Not that that's necessary, but you know, my back's covered when I'm posing for bikini. And they're not really like, well, look at her jacked back. You know, you're covering your back. But interesting to reflect on because I feel like when I look at my back and my definition, like I can see more muscle. Like I have probably put back on a little bit of muscle in that area relative to maybe 12 to 24 months ago. So yeah, it's always interesting to kind of compare that. I should go and have a look at some of these other programs and what my volumes were just out of curiosity. So yeah, that's that. I've been putting in some of the recipes into the app if you are following along. So the things that I'm using on like a regular day-to-day basis are in the app. I've had some good food this past week. I've had sushi. I made for the first time here espresso martinis. I don't know whether you girls like those. They've been around for so long. I remember loving those when I lived in Australia like 15 years ago. But the ingredients were so simple. I was using 1.5 ounces of freshly brewed espresso out of my Jura machine, which, oh, God, I love it. That is the best investment that I've ever made. It was like a $1,500 coffee maker, but it's so good. It warms my heart and my body every day. If you're looking for a good coffee machine, the Jura is amazing. Yeah, 1.5 ounces of coffee goes into that. It was equal parts vodka. I think I had 1.5 ounces of vodka, whatever you prefer. The recipe called for our 1/2 ounce of simple syrup. I halved that, so I had literally a quarter of a little thimble of simple syrup, and I just put a little squirt of my monk fruit stevia, and then I added in, the recipe didn't call for it. Usually it would be like some other coffee liqueur, so you could use Bailey's, or you could use, what's the other one? Kahlua, something like that. There's so many coffee cool liqueurs that you can use, but I ended up subbing that out for my sugar-free. I had Twix creamer. I know that sounds weird, guys. Twix creamer in your Bailey's, your espresso martini sounds weird. It was so good. So I'm there with my little shaker, shaking it up. I'm just gonna shake, 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 shake. It was awesome. So if you feel like a little not too high calorie beverage, if you want, I've got those really cute little round martini glasses. So it filled it perfectly to the brim. I used like crushed ice, obviously, in the shaker. And yeah, the amount of volume that made was perfect. I think I used 30 mils of creamer in that drink, and it was chef's kiss. So that was my cocktail of choice this weekend, and I probably will have another one of those over the weekend as well. But Sam and I got out and went to American Social, watched some sport, had some good chats, talked about some projects that we're working on. Took Ray with us as always. She's sitting down here at my feet. Poor little girl had to go and get her vet's visit yesterday. Sam said every time she gets her thermometer, like they do the temperature checks, they put it in their butt, which again, I know they're animals, but she said Ray was just sitting there like, what are you doing? I didn't go, but I was like, oh, poor little girl. She was sitting there shaking apparently for her entire visit. I love my dog, if you can't tell. But anyways, we went out with her for the weekend, and yeah, we had a couple of dinners out. So like I said, I just ordered a lot of seafood at these and some big salads to go along with it, and like pinched a few fun, tasty things from Sam's plate. So it's been good. What else can I share with you? Okay, so we talked about training. I want to look at my overall weekly summaries. And I think there was a couple of questions from YouTube last week. But overall, my tracked steps were, I guess I was probably looking at the wrong 7-day period when I was showing my app before. My actual average came in at 8,753. My week in this spreadsheet is Sunday to Saturday, and I think I was looking at Monday to Sunday. So that's probably where the discrepancy there is. But my average steps was 8,753, which gets me into the range, guys. It gets me into my goals. So last week, if we have a look at my targets, I wanted to get to 8,000 to 10,000, and I have been averaging about 4 for most of my off season. So it has required dedicated, get up, go. You're not doing any video editing anymore. Like, it's meant that my time spent on social media is significantly less because I can't edit a video while I'm walking, so surprisingly. So I've had to kind of let go of some of the training posts and stuff that I've been doing, or Q&As, because I just need to get in, get out, get it done. So instead I throw in the sermons that I listen to on the weekend from church. That's kind of been keeping me motivated and positively focused, because so many things bring you down, I think, during the week. Business is hard. So I definitely really enjoy listening to those to kind of bring me back into good spirits. But yeah, my calorie goals have been 1532, 125 protein, 123 carb, 60 fat. Obviously, I kind of flip-flop those around depending on what I'm feeling like. My overall weekly output that would track, there is one session here that is, or there's a few sessions that are missing, but I know I did the work. That's what matters the most, but the tracking data is lacking. I tracked 2,876 calories for the week, and that's across 3 tracked workouts. I did do 4. I just forgot to put the old stopper on one of my sessions here Friday night, most likely. And then I forgot to put my watch on when I was walking on some of these days. So I did the walk, know that I went for 60 or 30 minutes, but I forgot to press start. Again, just habit. So this is going to pick up and start to improve the closer and closer I get to show, where it becomes more and more important if you want to keep making progress. I could probably hang out here and like loosely do things for a lot, but I will definitely plateau. And I see that all the time with clients. It's like there's a certain level of commitment and sacrifice that you have to make if you're going to, get to the next level, in terms of your leanness, because it ain't going to just happen on its own, that's for sure. So a few more sacrifices this past week, but I know that this will get better. So as I move into the new week, do I think I need to change my calories based on the fact that my weight hadn't necessarily moved a whole lot? I don't think I'm going to. I know that I can tidy this up. I can get a little more disciplined with my fiber, and I can get a little bit more disciplined with my protein. So I'm going to leave these numbers here one more week. Technically I am, what am I? 1, 2, 3. This is my 3rd week, I guess, on these targets. This will probably be about last. And I wish that I didn't have to go lower, but because of my inactivity, and I just don't have the time to do hours and hours of cardio, like I have to manipulate my nutrition. In an ideal world, I would probably hang on to more calories and do a little bit more exercise. And past lives, I've been able to do that. Not really a reality for me right now, at least until the nutrition app is up and running. So, hey, you guys can help with that. Get a subscription and let me stop working so much, or at least doing all the hours of one-on-one coaching clients. Oh my God, it's mind-boggling. Mind-boggling, I tell you. So we'll keep with our 4 resistance training sessions. I think my goal this week would be to get this number to over, let's say 3,000 to 3,500, I think will be a realistic calorie target for this week. And then for my cardio, I plan on doing 1 run at a good intensity. Did I do 1 last week? I think I did. Where's my data? Sorry, let me pull this across. I did a bike. I feel like I did a run. You know what? That might have snuck into like Saturday or Sunday of the last week. I did a bike ride this past week. I did 49 minutes, clocked a few calories there. So we'll do 1 run or 1 ride, whatever makes sense for my schedule. Again, there isn't any like benefits to doing HIIT versus LISS. They both burn calories. They both can or have the potential to create a deficit. It really comes down to how much time you've got. If you're, able to and you prefer to do LISS, go for it. That's certainly one way that you can achieve fat loss. But if you're time poor, then HIIT probably makes the most sense because you're getting more bang for your buck. And then I'll keep my step goal much the same. So that's my plan for this week, guys. Wish me luck. I just realized that I forgot to show you something. I need to put this in like a proper bag. Oh my gosh. Some of the jewelry at Louis Vuitton is stupid, like dumb. I picked up one necklace and it was like, I don't know, I thought it would be maybe $3,000 or $5,000. And she was like, oh no, this one's 15. I'm like, maybe next time. Literally, that's all that I had. I got this, super cute, and the matching bracelet. I don't know how to show you this stuff, guys. I'm a girl. I should be good at this and I'm not. So yeah, got the little matching. Maybe it looks better over here. There you go. You can see the, Gemma, zoom in on this. Get this stuff. There we go. That's what it looks like. So yeah, that was the last thing. I just saw it sitting here. I was like, oh no, it's too cute not to share it with you. Alrighty, guys. I don't think that there are a whole lot of questions that I had on YouTube. Let me come up over here for a second. Do deficits from increased exercise make you hungrier than deficits from dietary restriction, generally speaking? Or does this vary case by case? This is absolutely an individual response. I've seen a few studies that have looked directly at this. In fact, I've got one coming up. It'll probably be in the next 2 or 3 weeks. It was people that skip breakfast versus people that have breakfast. And they kind of look at people's appetite scores and then also their muscle hypertrophy outcomes. Like, does it make a difference whether you eat or not? But anyways, no, this is such a unique and individual response. Usually the degree of deficit is what's going to drive all of those internal biological systems to signal hunger. So, if you create a 350 calorie deficit from exercise, or whether you create a 350 calorie deficit from, nutrition or calorie restriction, they're both going to have the same internal physiological effect. The only difference with exercise is that, you're contributing to some fatigue. Like there is like some, your body's having to do a lot of work. And I think to me, like there is potential like physiological disruption, psychological disruption. it's probably like perceived to be more challenging, but maybe that's just my perspective. Some people might find the psychological burden of restricting calories and making sure their meals match and, you know, all of the stuff that goes into meal prepping. Maybe they find that more difficult and fatiguing. Again, physical fatigue, mental fatigue, they are both such big contributors when you're dieting. And it probably is, you know, again, the research would suggest that it's very much an individual response. So yeah, I mean, what I would probably propose here for you is if you can try doing both. And again, I would pick, you know, stable calories. You're not making, you know, big drops in, you know, calories and then deciding to make a change to one of those variables. You'd want to keep calories equal, protein, probably carb and fat equal across 2 or 3 weeks of training. And then 1 week, bring those down, but keep your training steady. And then another week, to try to find out exactly like how many calories you can expend when you're doing the training component. You'd have to track, use your watch. And again, it's just estimates. So how accurate that would be, I'm not too sure. But that would probably be the best way to just check and see if there's one that works better for you. But so far, there doesn't seem to be any clear verdict on that subject. So yeah, that was it. I think the only question. There were like 50 comments on here, but I don't think that there were a whole lot of questions, just general excitement for prep and the data. Yeah, I think that's probably about all from me for this week, guys. So I hope you have a fantastic week yourselves. If you are on the app, I hope that you're loving it. Go give us a review on the App Store. If you're enjoying it, I would be so appreciative. And I guess I will see you in my next week's check-in.
Working out is power. Power is you. Start training with your mind. Mind just plays with you. Open the BiaFit app and go into the gym. Working on your sets is all you need to do.